Building an investment property is literally one of the funnest things you can ever do. So today's video, we're going to talk about how long it actually takes to build a brand new home, dual income home, or investment property. Now, this is based on my personal experience of building 6 homes in the last 3 years, as well as helping over 100 clients build properties in Sydney and Southeast Queensland over the last 4 years. Building a brand new home really depends on a number of things. So any one of these things can impact exactly how long it's going to take for you to actually complete your project. And as we get towards the second half of this video, I'm going to talk about a simple build and how long that should take on average, as well as a more complex build. But before we do that, let's talk about these dependencies. So the first thing that impacts how long it takes to build your property is which state and which area in Australia you're building with. So for some reason, it takes people longer to build properties in Sydney and Melbourne, and I don't know why. I don't know if the builders down there are busier or what's actually going on down there, if they're slower, if because the tradies get paid more, they take longer to complete the same product, or what it is. But for some reason in those particular areas, that's where your longest time frame in terms of build's going to come. Your fastest time frame is probably going to be somewhere like WA or Queensland, where those guys and those builders over there have really sort of got it systemized, because it is such competitive building markets and it's so hard to win new business up here. So area and state are very, very important. The second thing that I've realized the hard way myself is the developer. So let's say that you've got two options here. One is you go out and you buy a piece of land that's ready for you to build on straight away, and therefore the build doesn't take any extra time outside of actually getting through that council approval and getting ready for the construction. The second option is if you've built with one of the big guys before, like a Stocklands or an AV Jennings, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. And what I'm really referring to is those developers bring on the land basically when they see fit. And so recently, or a couple of years ago, I sold a property that I was living in with the intention to buy a piece of land and build on it, thinking the land would be ready for me to build on in about 3 months. I moved into my father-in-law's joint. 12 months later, Stocklands told us we could finally actually start construction. So that's the worst case scenario, I suppose, but my in-laws are absolute legends. But you've got to remember that the developer impacts your building time dramatically, where if you just find a site that's ready for you to build on today, it obviously can speed up your process. Now, the builder is the number one thing that affects how long it takes to build your home. I know builders that can build a product in 12 weeks that would take 6 months for somebody else to build. And having worked with 11 different builders in Sydney and the Southeast Queensland market over the last 4 years, and a number of them personally, there really is a huge difference between how long it takes the average builder to complete the exact same product. So remember that not all builders are the same, and there's pretty much 3 categories. There is the big boys, your project builders. We're talking your plantation homes, your Metricons, your those types of guys that everybody knows, your GJ Gardner homes. And you know, those guys do take a little bit longer than they should, I think. Then there's the guys in the middle that are sort of building 50 to a couple of hundred properties per year. Some of them can take a lot longer than they should, and some of them have got really, really good business processes. And then there's the more smaller guys that build maybe 1 to 3 or 5 a year, and they specialize in, you know, the same sort of product, but they just don't have the processes or the team in place to make it as smooth as possible. Alternatively, they're building the really custom jobs that take longer as well. So your developer and your builder comes into play when we're talking about how long it's going to take. The land being ready is another one. Now, the size of the dwelling that you're constructing has a huge impact on how long it's going to take to build. Effectively, the rule of thumb is the bigger, the longer it's going to take. It's that simple, because there's more man hours required to create the same product. And that is the same with design. Now, there's 2 layers of design really. There is or 3 layers maybe, the investor stock that is sold through all of the shitty property marketing companies over Australia. Then there's the high quality investment grade product that 80% of people would want to live in personally. And then there's the highest level, which is the architectural beautiful homes. And you see those types of things all over Sydney, Melbourne, Sunshine Coast, Brisbane, and they're the really high-end specky things that obviously have amazing designs, but those designs come with a price and also a time frame as well. So for the, you know, most of us living in that, wanting to build a high quality investment or wanting to buy and build a high quality home, design wise, that's pretty much that middle of the marketplace. And if you were to walk through any display village in Australia, you know what I'm sort of talking about. There's the really cheap product, and then there's the middle product, and then there's the more expensive stuff. So another thing that impacts how long it takes to build is actually whether you're building single story or double story. Now, a single story build with a good builder in that middle pocket I was talking about, building a good quality home, should take somewhere between 12 weeks. Unfortunately, a lot of builders take up to 6 months to create that product, and I just don't know what the hell they're doing. There's a lot of days where no one's doing anything. For a double story home, you're probably looking at an average of somewhere between 14 weeks through to almost 9 months, depending on which builder you work with as well. And as I said, a lot of those bigger project builders or the guys at the bottom, the architectural, take so much longer to create this product than they really should, where some of those guys in the middle have got really tight processes in place just to smash them out. So I'm not saying you want to sacrifice quality or price, but you definitely want your builder to be able to deliver for you, because every day that they don't deliver for you is interest that you're paying out without being able to either put a tenant in if it's an investment, or you're paying rent or a mortgage on a property before you can move into your brand new one. So it is important in terms of how long they take, and we never want you to sacrifice quality, because the quality is what improves in value over time. And obviously the land is where the value increases, but quality builds with good sized bedrooms, good bathrooms, good living spaces, good alfresco, good backyards, always will outperform properties that don't have those same features. So remember that quality may take slightly longer to create, but it might be worth it rather than going for that investment stock just at the very bottom. So let's talk about 2 examples now in terms of exactly how long it takes. The first is that simple product, which is kind of in the middle of the market there, which I talked about. Now, your single story option is going to take you between 12 weeks with a quality builder and up to 6 months with a average one. If you're looking at double story, like I mentioned before, you're probably looking at somewhere between 14 weeks and 9 months, depending on the builder and your relationship with them. If we're talking complex builds, we're now talking that higher end spec. Anything probably over a $450,000 price point is where it becomes more complicated in terms of the high quality fittings, fixtures, and those things that are important. So what we're talking there is, an average of maybe five months quickest, up to 12 months. I've even seen these things going for 18 months plus. So obviously that more complex build is more niche, and you really want a builder that's going to take the time to really deliver exactly what it is that you're after when you're paying that sort of money for a build. So I hope you've got some different ideas there about how to build your investment property or your own home and how long it's going to take you. Obviously it's builder dependent, market dependent, as well as those other things, but realistically there's 3 things that matter when you're looking for a builder. One is quality, the second one is a high quality price or a great price, and the third one is how long it's going to take you to actually build with those guys. So before starting this business, I worked with one of the biggest builders in Australia, New Zealand, and the world, and we were building over $100 billion worth of this stuff per year. And what I learned is that it's area dependent and it's builder dependent in terms of the quality. So I wish you all the best with what it is that you're trying to do out there. If you do need a hand with this, particularly in Southeast Queensland right now, I'd love you to jump over to www.pumpedonproperty.com and book a free strategy session in with myself or my brother Simon. Whether you've got a piece of land and you're just looking for an introduction to a builder that has quality at a great price that will build it in a short period of time for you, I'd be more than happy to introduce you to the 2 builders that I now personally work with after trialing 11 different ones, unfortunately. Also, if you're thinking of building but you don't have a piece of land yet, we'd love to talk to you about the marketplace up here, help you identify that piece of land, the right suburb, the right builder, the right product, and project manage it from start to finish for you as well. So on average, through our relationships with these builders, we save our clients somewhere between, I would say, at least 15K. We saved a client the other day $80,000 on a big expensive home that he was building. So I know that our relationships are solid and that there's some really, really good guys up here that you may not have heard of before that could really add value to your next product and make sure particularly you save some money on the way in, get a great outcome in terms of quality, and the time frame's actually manageable for you so you're not paying bucks out. So if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. We produce all sorts of videos around investing in property based on the experiences we've had from buying over $300 million worth of property for our clients in Sydney and Southeast Queensland. I wish you all the best with your project. It's so exciting. Don't stress out too hard, but make sure you do the right due diligence before you rush into anything. So thanks for your time and attention today, guys. Bye.